Last one.
That works.
Another day in paradise.
Good idea. Wish I thought. Yeah.
It was wild. My dogs were
Oh, yeah.
mighty.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. This is City of Hannibal official council agenda. We'll start out by asking the clerk to call the roll.
Councilwoman Azatea.
Here.
Councilman Cohen.
Here.
Councilman Leaders.
Here.
Councilman Fleetwood.
Here.
Councilman Munger.
Here.
Councilman Haycraft.
Here.
Mayor McCoy.
Here. There being a quorum, I call the meeting to order. Invocation. Councilman Munger, will you lead us in invocation?
Father God, we just come before you and we ask for your blessings on this time. Lord, give us wisdom for the business at hand, and may we lead this community in the right way, in your ways. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Seddon, will you lead us in pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, next item up is the approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, approval of minutes for the regularly scheduled council meeting, May 6, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, approval of payroll and claims for the first half of May 2025.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment sign up. We had one person sign up tonight, Miss Megan Rapp with the Mark Twain Boyhood Home and Museum. Stage is yours for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I will not take 5 minutes. Again, my name is Megan Rapp. I'm the Executive Director of the Mark Twain Boyhood Home and Museum. In the past, the museum has come before Council to request alcohol sales and street closures for the Mark Twain Museum's Music Under the Stars concert series. This year, we will not be having alcohol sales, nor will there be a street closure, since it is always on Hill Street, and that is a pedestrian walkway. So this is more just for your information. We will be having our concert series as usual. They are community concerts sponsored by the museum with the help of our generous donors. The museum receives no local, state, or federal tax funding. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. And also just want to invite you all to come down Thursday nights from 7 to 9 o'clock. We have a wide variety of music entertainment starting in June. So thank you so much.
What's the first date?
The first Thursday in June, which is 7th. Thank you. Yeah. And that will actually, the first Music Under the Stars will be the Gentry Youse Memorial Concert. So that will be, the Youse family will be there, and it will be the Stonehill Band. So thank you all.
And Megan, I'll get that posted on the city's website also. Since it wasn't in the packet, I'll make sure we get the dates and everything posted on the city's website and social media also.
Thanks. We always have our banner posted on the Hill Street stage, and also on the visithannibal.com website, obviously to promote it to not only our community but also to visitors. Thanks.
Thank you, Megan.
Okay, June 5th is the date on that. Thanks, Megan. Next up on the agenda, we did have Tammy Riley down for the Kiwanis Foundation, but it looks like Mr. Gordon Ibsen and Mark Neal are going to present tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing us to come. There has been a change with the Hannibal Evening Kiwanis for this event. Mark Neal and I will be co-chairing it in place of Tammy Riley. So I'm coming before you with paperwork submitted requesting closure of 4th Street on July 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. We have also previously requested use of City Park from the Parks and Recreation Department, which city manager assures me has been approved. So, are there any questions? The insurance certificate was submitted with the packet.
Good on everything? All right, council, do you have any questions for Mr. Ibsen?
I'd make a motion to approve pending insurance, which I assume started with second.
Okay, motion and a second. It's on the floor. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank
Hey.
you very much. This will be the 48th consecutive Arts and Crafts Festival.
Hey, Gordon, can you try to get your vendors list to the clerk's office about a week in advance? That's a very large vendor list, and it takes time to get them together, so.
We will do
or
the best.
As quickly as you could.
We will do the best we can. I will have to leave that to my co-chair, Mark, because I will not be back in town until June 29th. So,
Okay. Okay, we just want to make sure we get them all ready for you, and it does take a little time, as big a list as that is.
we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon. Next on the agenda is Miss Tammy Riley, Big River Steampunk Festival for street closures and alcohol, August 30th through September 1st.
I am asking for the normal street closures of North Main to Broadway, and this year I'm asking for the addition of South Main Street from past the entrance on South Main to the theater to the flood wall.
Would there be any opposure by the police chief or fire to that closure?
Tammy, just curious, is that you anticipating more people or more people registered already coming in?
That's for the Renaissance part of the fair.
Okay.
We had them at the riverfront last year, but we're going to move them to South Main this year.
How will that affect parking? Like with people, like with Broadway being blocked off for
It
people?
won't, Broadway won't be blocked.
So they'll still have access to the riverfront?
Yes.
Well, did you say, and I apologize, that you'll leave that half a block of South Main to get into the parking lot of the
Yes.
movie theater, or just
Yes,
on the
it
Broadway
starts
side?
after that side parking
So kind of
lot.
about where like the Arts Council-ish is
Yes.
down that way. Does
Yes.
that make sense to everybody? So you still have access
That way,
there?
both entrances to the theater, the Broadway.
And then the street access around the Mark Twain Hotel will still be, at least to be able to walk across the street from their
Yes.
parking lot for their residents. Is that correct? Okay. Do you have anything, Melissa, any items of note to share with the council on that?
The notes, you'll be meeting with the police chief in August to discuss the safety measures on blocking. A reminder that the entrance for the liquor policy, and you're having a parade, but it won't be
It'll
going
be
down
just like
Broadway
normal. Yeah,
or
we
anything like
stay
that.
on.
You are pending insurance,
Yes.
and then again, if you could get your vendor list to us
Yeah.
at about a week in advance, that would be great.
Absolutely.
And also, as we've emphasized with other festivals, make sure sidewalks stay clear
Yes.
so it doesn't interfere with businesses
Absolutely.
down there. In fact, hopefully this encourages people to come into the businesses.
And I think they're asking the same thing consistently. The council is, the response is that not to place like vendors with businesses on the downtown Main Street. If you can avoid not to put like direct competition, that would be.
Well, the businesses we've always offered, or it's been all the businesses had first right to reserve that spot. And I just continued that on.
I
To
think
go
that's all.
along with this, the VFW holds license for steam. Stuff from the city when insurance is in place allows us to sell city-owned property with a container zone and a designated area in the zone. That's going to be exactly.
I did notice that, like, as far as security, are you, in the event that an altercation were to break out, and the only reason why I'm asking this in particular is because obviously I've been down there the last 2 years. There have been 2 incidents over the Steampunk Festival, but I noticed that it said no request for police. Do you guys have like security?
Yes, we have 24/7 security festivals going.
Okay, and are those listed on here? I don't see.
It asked for security, and I said yes.
Right, but
Right.
are we talking X amount of people? Who
There's
would
usually-
they call?
There's usually 4. And
For the
I was-
entire festival?
Yes. And I was told tonight that, and the police may be able to help, that there's going to be, starting with Twain on Main, a police presence at each festival.
Okay.
I'd make a motion pending insurance.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve Big River Steampunk Festival request pending insurance. Are there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Next up, Jeff and/or Ashley Veach from the Hannibal JCs. National Tom Sawyer Days, road closures, alcohol sales, and parade patrol.
Ashley Veach. I am the co-chairman for the 70th National Tom Sawyer Days this year. I'm here to request just our normal road closures for the festival from June 28th to July 6th. Everything's pretty well the same as it always has been since the construction's over. There's also a request in here for the 2 city-owned parking lots, the use of those, in addition to the Armory parking lot for Carnival set up for their staff, manpower, etc. Parade closures at 7 a.m. and then the fence painting closure at North Main and Hill Street.
Mayor and Council, just one note. There was a little bit of a concern about the duration of the Broadway closure from 7 to 1, and that it could be a strain on manpower and disruptive to citizens for travel. If you could get with the police chief, maybe work something out on that. I think he's just requesting that you guys.
We have
Get
our
with them
meeting
on that.
scheduled with them on Wednesday. I think Bobby scheduled that for Wednesday next week.
And then concrete barriers placed for the road closure for the carnival, which is, I think, has been the years in the past.
Yep.
Insurance is pending, but their insurance agent is very good about sending us.
They sent it to
They should have sent it over
I mean,
to
it may have come today, but yeah, their insurance agent is really good about sending it. So.
All right, does anybody have any other questions for the Veaches? I'd entertain a motion to either approve or.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
You want to stay, Jeff?
Next item on the agenda is under my name for election of mayor pro temp. Basically, how this works, we have to vote amongst ourselves per the charter to pick somebody to fill in for me when I'm not here. Did I sum that up pretty well? I'm pretty basic. So how this will work, I guess at this point, unless somebody tells me different, is I would entertain a motion from the floor for anybody that would like to nominate somebody, and we can, if we get a second, we can roll call vote. If we don't, then we can take a motion.
I'll make a motion for Mr. Munger.
Second.
Isn't he the longest sitting
Yep.
council? I was going to say, I thought that's how it is on the charter anyway.
Yeah, so I have a motion and a second, but as far as discussion goes, Councilwoman, you're correct. Councilman Munger is the tenured councilman currently, which
2 whole years.
I think is saying something. And I always want to say that publicly. We talk about like new blood and things like that, and it's really great to see everybody up here and stuff. So the charter does not require that the senior council member be the mayor pro temp, but traditionally I think it's always been that way, or as long as I can remember. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Or wait, you need to do a roll call for that. Is that right?
Did you want to defend yourself, Nathan?
I don't know what I'm getting into.
Good.
It's perfect. Perfect candidate.
Do whatever the city clerk says.
And guard the turkey. That's the easiest, yeah.
Okay, we'll cover our bases. Necessary. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sure, why not?
Councilman Azatea,
Yes.
Councilman Cohen,
Yes.
Councilman Leaders, Councilman Fleetwood,
Yes.
Councilman Munger,
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
Thanks for not making me have to break that tie. Congratulations, Councilman Munger. Thank you, Council. Next up on the agenda under my name also is St. Elizabeth's Hospital discussion and removal of the sectional 106 assistance. And I'll just give you a brief rundown on where I'm at with that. The council voted previously to put St. Elizabeth's Hospital in this 106 process, which allows it to move forward with state and federal funding opportunities, grant opportunities, things of that nature. It's my belief that most of that is dried up, gone away, and I don't think that we're going to make any progress with that. We do, however, need to make progress with the property and see that it gets taken care of. What I would like to discuss tonight and get your input from, and ultimately maybe approval, is to remove it from the 106 process, work with an engineering firm and city staff on putting this back out for bid, maybe getting some quotes, trying to find out what options we have just to demolish it ourselves. Different things, maybe some alternative financing options with some contractors, maybe putting it into some other projects through some infrastructure tax, possibly, but some things along those lines. Nothing set in stone. I don't have a concrete plan, but we need to move the needle, and I think this is probably the first step in doing that. So I'll leave it with that. If you guys have questions, or if James or Andy would like to add anything to that.
Mayor, quick question. If we remove it from 106 process, we can still go back to it if something happens where this ginormous grant does come available. I'll take care of it. We can go back into that process at that time.
That's my understanding. And if we take it out of this process and, we go out for bid, the bids are extremely high, or like you said, a grant comes along or something of that nature, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, there's nothing stopping the council from voting to put that back in that process, and that would then make us eligible for that funding.
But otherwise, if we get it out from that, we're not looking for any other money. Of course, we have to find our funding.
Correct.
But we can actually get moving, maybe be a little more creative with financing.
Correct.
And in the 106, that's strictly for developer, correct? If it was to be revitalized, the property.
No, the 106 process, it removes it from the historic portion of the project, yeah. So not doing it just...
What would be the harm in removing it?
You have to go through the process, and it's quite a lengthy process.
It's hindered us, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's... Mark's here right now. Mark, do you want to come up and talk about it? Mark Bross with Klingner Associates is our city engineer. You're always prepared.
Section 106, that's historic preservation. It's down in Jeff City, Division of DNR. We had put this on, started down this process, which we didn't get very far. Nothing's been filed, so it's not even on the shipment office's radar. There's a lot of paperwork associated with filing. The advantage is that if you go down that process, if you're going to capture any state or federal funds, you have to go. And if you would capture those state or federal funds and you go through the process, there's going to be some sort of mitigation associated with that. That is what I would like to call undetermined, because they won't tell you what it is. You have to suggest some stuff. They have to approve it. And generally it relates to retaining some historical record of what was there, or something, the marker. So by coming out of the process, technically you're not in the process yet, but what you're doing is stopping the process where you're at, not filing anything. If you're not going to do state or local fund or state or federal funds, the historic nature of the building doesn't apply anymore. You can tear it down with your own funds, and it's not a problem. So if you would find that, okay, we've got too big of a project and we can't pay for it with local funds, or you want to go back in, we just pick up stuff. So it's really, does that answer the question?
I think that helps out a lot. Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
How far are we? How close are we to the end?
Not very close. We like I said, we did the initial analysis. The next step was we were going to have to go inside. And of course, if you've been inside the building, you would have to have a respirator and other things just to be safe in there. You got to document things. And then there's a filing that you do, all of that documentation. And then it's up to SHPO how fast they move through the process, how fast they, agree to what you're planning to do. And then you've got to go and, again, identify mitigation, what that would be. They have to agree to that. I mean, it can be a couple of year process in some cases, so it's not fast. So.
And I believe, the reason that I kind of wanted to bring this to the council's attention is because the previous council before us, I believe they did go through the process and vote, or go through the vote to move forward in this process. So I just want to make sure we're doing what we need to be doing to basically stop that process, and then we can start working another direction.
I think the other reason was there's no foreseeable state or federal grants that would take something like this down. Those are few and far between, kind of going away. So I think that was another reason why. So,
Well, unfortunately, as much as I hate not having some funding, grant, money available because of the cost of tearing that down, that is my own personal opinion. Looks like the only way we're going to be able to get this accomplished. Otherwise, we've got the eyesore, the danger, and other things. So it's going to continue to sit there.
I think at this point in time, it's more of a liability than
Yes.
anything. And I know, Mayor, you and I have had a couple conversations, not really in depth, but that potentially we could maybe the city could partner with somebody to help with that funding to tear it down. But I think my biggest concern is with the asbestos and everything, like it's not safe to go in, and you worry about it falling into a house, hurting a citizen, hurting a child. There's just so much danger circling that I think it's just best to move forward with removing us from that historic procedure.
And I'm not going to lie, it's not going to be a cheap process. I mean, we all know that, but the longer that we continue to kick the can down the road, I mean, it's just going to continue.
The worse it's going to get.
Worse.
As much
Yeah.
as
The demo price is going to keep increasing higher and higher.
Absolutely. And this is one of those things, like, we talked about weeks and months ago about ripping the Band-Aid off, so to speak. Not going to be easy, but this, I think, like Councilwoman said, I mean, we need to do something to process going.
as far as the city got stuck with this,
Correct.
and especially knowing the history of it, and it has continued to get kicked down the road. The people that live there are affected the most, but this is something that the entire community has to deal with. Fortunately, we're going to have to find a way to do that, but we've got to get the ball moving. We can't just sit here anymore and say we're going to do something. We got to do something.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion that we remove St. Elizabeth's from the 106 process and move forward with plans on our own to take care of St. Elizabeth's.
So from there, where do we go from with somebody looking into potentially partnering with somebody, or where do we go from there? Andy, maybe you have some.
Yeah, I think probably the best thing to do is discuss this tomorrow at the budget workshop.
Okay.
Looking at our capital funding, our infrastructure funding, laying all that out so that you guys can see those numbers and kind of deciding there. I mean, I think the next step would be, obviously, we're going to have an engineer to help with bid specs and that process. So the next step would be to hire someone for that. But really, you guys need to see those numbers first before I would ask you to take a vote. So I think tomorrow would be a good time to discuss that.
Would Maria's brownfield studies help at all with this?
I mean, it's something that it wouldn't hurt. So I think that would be part of looking into that as well.
And then we've talked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So.
Well, that answered that question.
But those are good questions, and that's what Andy and I talked about. Like, this is the first step. We got to make sure that we stop moving forward in this process, which is the direction of the previous council. Then we need to get together, get through our budget hearing the next couple of weeks, get the budget finalized, and then get together, sit down with an engineer, with Mark or Andy or whoever, and say, okay, how are we gonna put this out for a bid? Let's start there. What's it going to cost? We got to get some estimates on the cost and things like that. So
That's the most important. Get the estimates.
there's a
Let's see what it's
motion-
truly going to cost on pen and paper.
we can do that. And I mean, everybody's welcome to be involved with that process, but we just need to one step.
Other cities, I believe, have like companies that do like the brick buyback programs. It's not going to like help significantly, but I mean, I think that any little amount would help.
There's a
We could look
motion on
into
the
that
floor
too.
to remove that
There
from
is.
the 106 process. Should we amend that motion to pause so we can go back into it, or just cease it where it's at?
From my
I don't think we
understanding,
should
from
pause.
what Mark said, we can re-enter it at any time.
Then I'll second that motion.
Okay. I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and we'll keep you updated on that. Like I said, we'll obviously have more discussion tomorrow night, budget workshop. And just item of note for those here in the media, the budget workshop is tomorrow night here in the council chambers at 5:30, and that is open to the public. So that's all I have under my name. Next up is Councilman Cohen, 3rd Ward Council Member. Yep.
Yes, we discussed allowing fireworks within city limits back a few months ago, and the discussion was tabled. At that point in time, I thought it might be appropriate to bring it back up for further discussion and see what we wanted to do. I did ask both the fire chief and the police chief if they would make sure they were here and be willing to speak whichever way it falls. But I believe it warrants further discussion and a decision being made one way or the other. I did talk with manager over at the fireworks store. Thought he would be a lot more knowledgeable than I am on the use of fireworks. The Class C fireworks they sell, anyone can set off, and they would be relatively safe within city limits. I say relatively because there's obviously a chance of fires associated with fireworks. Nothing they sell is going to require a pyrotechnics license to set off. We obviously don't want to go that far and allow people setting off things like that, such as what we have for the city display on 4th of July. But there's been a lot of discussion among people living in the city that they don't have any place to really set off any fireworks. They can celebrate at their house. Some of the things to consider is the noise level and nursing homes, animals, pets, what the sounds would be for them. So those are all factors to consider. But
I also think the time has to be considered. 2 o'clock in the morning is not exactly a good time.
exactly.
I think
Well,
it's
if-
also going to be a good way to establish trust from the city council to the community. Trust is we need. Hear a lot of complaints, but maybe we won't hear any complaints this year.
Yep, for sure. So this is the draft ordinance that was discussed on a few months ago, like Councilman Cohen mentioned, but a part of it was fireworks discharged on private property between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. on July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So it'd be the day preceding, the day after, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. only on private property. So no city parks, city streets, anything of that nature. And I have not read through this line by line, but I would assume, and we can ask Chief Nocky, Chief Nyson, I mean, obviously, if those fireworks are being used irresponsibly or pose a danger or a threat, that would still warrant the police to visit and have a discussion. with the proper use.
Should we do this, we would have to specify the dates and the hours, whether those were good before, I don't know. One of the things the manager over there at the fireworks store also stated, almost everything they sell, no, everything they sell just takes common sense. Okay? I don't know if that's a pro or a negative, but
Do they sell that over
and
there?
he did, yeah. But he did also state that what he would recommend if we did allow something like this is that somehow or other, maybe word it in the ordinance, that they would have to have a source of water or fire extinguisher available just in case. said the primary danger is not from the fireworks being shut off, but from the source right there by the fuse.
And
So,
I would say that they'd have to pick up their trash.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when the Schwartz Funeral Home burnt down, and that was just up off Broadway.
4th of July.
It was 4th of July,
I forgot about that.
and I remember seeing it, and so I still have a little bit of a trauma that's in me from that. Yet in my neighborhood, fireworks go off on the 3rd, 4th, all the way up to the 28th
Right.
of August, and maybe and then some after that. I think there's some areas that are as safe as can be to do that, and then there are other areas that they should not.
I agree.
So
That's my concern as well.
that's where I'm at. I'm a little torn in this. I think there are certain areas I think that'd be great for it, and I would love to be able to have that. But then there are other areas, and then how do we differentiate that? And are we taking a load off of the police to put it on fire?
So before we move on to, go ahead.
I actually have several concerns with this one, and I'm probably going to ask the chief, somebody to hop in, because obviously with everybody celebrating 4th of July, people get reckless. Like, is this just adding, essentially fuel to the fire, so to speak? Because yeah, that'd be great if you guys could come up here. I'm like, you guys probably have a little bit of.
Yeah, I was just going to ask before you said that.
Especially with like the houses that like you have a neighbor that like is 10 foot away,
I'll piggyback on that. That's my biggest concern is you think about some of the neighborhoods, take in the downtown neighborhood or south side. We have several houses where you can stand in between the houses and touch both houses. My concern is there is not adequate space in several of our neighborhoods to safely shoot off fireworks. In some areas of town, maybe make that justification, but I think we have a good portion of our community that it is not safe to do.
I agree.
I have some statistics that I pulled up from the Missouri Department of Public Safety webpage today. According to the National Fire Protection Association, far more fires are reported in the U.S. on a typical Independence Day than any other day of the year, and fireworks account for more than half of those fires. The NFPA also reports that in 2018, fireworks caused an estimated 19,500 fires, including 1,900 total structure fires, 500 vehicle fires, and 17,100 outside and other fires. These fires caused 5 deaths and $105 million in direct property damage. That's just in 2018. There's more statistics about the number in 2022, the number of people in Missouri that were injured. 77% of the firework injuries occurred in a 3-week period leading up to following Independence Day. During that period, 252 people with fireworks injuries sought hospital treatment, emergency rooms, and admitted to patient care. We often think about the safety of creating fires from fireworks, but also think for the damage that people do to themselves. I personally, as not only the fire chief, I am opposed to this, but also as a person that owns property in some of these areas where the houses are close together, I'm.
Well, and not only just the fire, like when I first started thinking about this, like fireworks that are like causing a spark, like one, you don't know what the weather's going to be like if it's dry and it pops off into the neighbor's gutter that has a bunch of dry leaves and then the wind picks it up and then it's just, you never know where it's going to go, but not even the flame ones, but the squealing ones, like triggering somebody's PTSD, scaring an elderly, scaring off an animal, and then you have animal control out chasing all these dogs or whatever. There's just so many like factors around it that it's not that I'm opposed to it, but if we could limit it to more maybe child-friendly, like sparklers or something to where they can still celebrate with kids, but not get...
I believe the sparklers and those...
I was under the impression that nothing like...
Okay.
So, like, on the police side of it, and I really am neutral on it. I think the ordinance as it's written, we've had that for... Having said that, it's always been around July, fireworks everywhere. So it's things with the personnel we have, a lot of the same time, I see fire chiefs or our problem. That people have the right to express themselves. I don't think there's probably a way to do it, but I don't have that answer.
Well, and also, we are fully staffed with your staff, correct? But we're still, a station is still shut down. So that would also deter with call time. So I don't know. I just feel like it's more of a liability and putting pressure on HPD than anything. But if we could move something as far as like allowing sparklers and more kid-friendly stuff.
Well, they just have to have adult supervision. There's a lot of common sense around town. I mean, there's some that maybe don't have common sense, but we have authorities for that.
But we're hearing that they're taxed. I mean, fireworks is just one of the calls that happen during 4th of July.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot of other activities that are being dealt with.
Gardens.
So, I've had to tell like other entities for security, for extra manpower, things that they're going to have to look outside of and handle like private entities, overnight stuff and things like that, because we have to dedicate our officers to events, to calls,
Last year, wasn't there over 100,000 tourists just Tom Sawyer week? I mean, it was a significant amount. I don't know to be exact.
I understand.
It's high.
People are going to shoot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was close to 100,000.
So when we don't pass an ordinance and people shoot them anyways, then the cops are going to get called. And that's when you might get overwhelmed with fireworks calls. And we just set a rule to where, they could possibly shoot certain hours or whatever. Maybe it might help out with that situation.
Is it okay if I have James give us his opinion?
From an enforcement point, I'm going to point out you're making the same argument that everybody that wants to legalize all drugs makes, which is it's too hard to police it, therefore let's just make all the drugs legal.
Right.
If you open up fireworks, you're not going to have the deterrent effect of people knowing that it's against the law, and I anticipate it's going to be a lot more likely that you're going to be catching these old houses on fire, and you're going to have and if one of these old houses catches on fire, as close a proximity they are to the others, it's going to be more likely that you're going to catch everything on fire. You've got old houses downtown that have wooden shingles. You've got old houses downtown that have built-in guttering still. These are all going to be things that, if they catch a spark, it's going to potentially set the thing on fire. In 1987, the Five Size over in Columbia burned their entire fraternity house down just using bottle rockets. Got one into a column. It smoldered all night until it burned through the top, and then it burned the whole fraternity house down in two hours. These old houses, I'm very concerned as a citizen and as somebody that owns several old houses, if you all open it up in the historic districts. And from the standpoint of enforcement, I'm certainly not wanting to overburden the police, but I'm also saying there's a certain deterrent effect. If it's illegal, people aren't going to be out there just going crazy.
And I'm not saying that it's a burden. Either way, I think even if we pass the ordinance, people are still going to call us, regardless, because they're going to be complaining about the time, or it's just going to be something different. It's going to evolve into a different call. So that part of those are just statistics.
What about somewhat of maybe a compromise? And I think somebody said it earlier about.
What about like sparklers and like poppers or non-flaming?
Yeah, possibly that. But where I was going to go was that, like I think Councilman Munger was talking about, like some certain areas he felt like were okay and some were not. And this is probably a question for everybody, but if the real concern is there's no place for people that own property or live within the city to go shoot off fireworks legally, would there be any possibility that we could designate an area, whether it's down on South Main where there's no structures, or out at the industrial park that is out in the middle of nowhere, for a day. So the residents had a place to go. Maybe we could see about getting some fire protection out there or something during the day to make it safe. I'm just looking for a compromise, right? Like if that's
Been on city property, this Myrma will not insure us.
Yeah.
So that is an exclusion.
Gonna
and
help
then-
establish security. That's what they're campaigning.
But, let me play devil's advocate.
That's what I was just
If we-
asking. That was
Myrma excludes it in our policy. They will not
If we
insure us.
sanction it and somebody gets hurt or something happens, what is our responsibility if we're giving people permission
Yeah, that's what
to do that?
just that with that.
So we cannot, so the fireworks that we shoot off on the 4th of July, the city does not do that. It is a non-for-profit that gets its own separate insurance to do that because our insurance company will not insure us for that. So
Mayor, I could get with like Les or Tori out at the fireworks store and get a list of things that are like, I don't want to say kid friendly, but you know, you have like the like color changing stuff or the lanterns that barely go up, not stuff that's going to shoot out 30 feet, stuff that might be a little bit more,
There are certain
not of a fire hazard.
Class ones, your poppers, your sparkler snakes, yeah, those little things.
Like I still want people to be able to celebrate, but I just don't want it to be a liability and fire hazard, more pressure on both fire and police department. But I think that there's things that can be passed.
Because I'm going out.
I mean, would that be something that we could, I mean, I guess we could, that.
If we have rules now and they're not being abided by, what good does putting additional rules on, you have to have water or it can only be done at a certain time? They're not following the rules that are on the books now. What's the chances that they're going to follow?
I'd make a motion to table this.
What was the motion?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to table use of fireworks inside the city limits in a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? April 2nd. Right? April 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're just talking in circles at this point in time.
Thank you,
Okay,
man.
Thank you, Chiefs.
motion carried. Thanks, Chiefs.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is Andy Dorham, interim city manager, Market Street sidewalk easements.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. As part of the Market Street TAP grant funded sidewalk project, we are required to get a few permanent easements and some temporary construction easements. We've been working with Klinger and Associates on that. We've met with the property owners. One is the school district. The other is St. John's Lutheran Church and Mark and Kara Fitzpatrick. So we have the addresses there. Once approved tonight, we will get those recorded. Everything's sent off to MoDOT, and that allows us to start the next phase of the project. So, and these were all donated. I wanted to mention that as well.
Is this replacement of existing sidewalks?
Yes.
That
So
are deteriorating pretty badly?
yeah, so
Okay,
that'll
thanks.
run from Grand Avenue up past Eugene Field.
Thanks.
So
Very good.
just on the one side, yeah, on the school side. On the school side, yep.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions for Andy on that? Okay, that'll be resolution number 2522-25 to follow.
Next up, we have two appointments for the Planning and Zoning Commission. First up is Roger McGregor for an appointment for a term to expire June 2029, and Mike Dobson for appointment for a term to expire May 2028.
Okay, those are both first readings, so no vote tonight. Next item on the agenda, Chief Jacob Nocky, Hannibal Police Department, local law enforcement block grant subaward agreement.
Good evening. Several months ago, we applied for the local law enforcement block grant. It's a grant that's administered, it's actually federal funds, the Department of Justice, that's administered by the Missouri Department of Public Safety. And it gives agencies up to $10,000 a year for equipment. We applied for different things. In the past, we've got ballistic vests, some other things. This year, we put in for ballistic helmets. I think I showed Mr. Fleetwood some of our helmets the other day. 2009, they're heavy. The longer you wear them, your neck hurts, and just more of a comfort and safety thing. If you're more uncomfortable, you're less likely to make good decisions and things like that. So with that, we awarded the grant for $9,366.90, which will cover new ballistic helmets for our special response team, and ask for the council's approval for the mayor to execute the subaward agreement so we can get that back to the state. Then after that, we'll have to go out for sealed bid. There is no match on this. It's fully funded by that grant.
Questions on that item? If not, that'll be resolution 2554-25 to follow. Next.
The next is I have a uniform request for purchase. I came to the council, I think it's been a month ago, referenced some vest carriers. Basically, our uniforms have been the same uniforms we've had since 2009, around that time frame. Since then, we're trying to transition to a uniform that allows you to move a lot more of the weight off your waist to other parts of your body. With that, we have ordered vests, but the last component to that is the actual shirts and pants that go under it. And with that, to switch a uniform, we can't phase it. I can't have half the department wearing one uniform and half wearing a different. That'd be confusing for the citizens, things like that. So with that, we went out for sealed bid and received one bid from Leon Uniform Company in St. Louis. It's a company we've dealt with before. They provide their own alterations. They do patches. They can do stuff on site, in house when you walk in. So we can take a new officer in there, get a new uniform, and walk out the door, at least with one uniform ready to go. And they came with their bid at $18,444. I spoke with the finance director on that. We looked at our current budget, and we look to have that savings in our current police budget to cover that cost. But I just need approval for the acceptance of the bid and approval for purchase.
Have any questions on that item? If not, I would entertain a motion to
Make that motion.
Second.
second to approve the bid approval for Leon Uniform Company in the amount of $18,444 for purchasing new police department uniforms. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And last.
This is for emergency management. We have a contract with OnSolve, which provides code red alerts. If you were awake last night around 9:30 and you were signed up, you got one. I think every device in my house either rang or off with the tornado warning last night. But that's exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to alert the public. And we have a subscriber base, not just in Hannibal, but also Palmyra and Marion County. They're all under the same umbrella of that. And with that, it's better to stick with the companies a lot of times than switch another one, because we'd have to get people re-signed up with a new company and so forth. We currently pay $25,000 a year for the service. We do get reimbursed some from the county on that. I'm not sure the exact number. I think Jessica knows with finance portion. But dealing with them, they were willing to do a lower amount if we signed a 3-year contract. They were able to bring the price down to $23,750, which would save the city $3,750 over the course of 3 years. It's not a lot of savings, but it is some savings, and I'm willing to take those price cuts where we can take them. And so with that, I have resolution reference to new contract with OnSolve for 3 years.
Just to clarify, that's 3 years, 71, so that's spread out 3 years.
Yeah, it's $23,750 per year, so the total contract would be $71,250.
Is there any other competition that offers similar services? What's their price point? No.
I mean, there are some other companies out there.
No. Sure. Yeah.
And we do have the ability, like last night, if your phone went off, you can still send out alerts to phones directly. It takes a lot more layers. The government doesn't have access up this is a sign-up service, so the benefit is if you've signed up for the service and say we're doing a police operation in that area and we need people, we can actually go in there and I can send a radius and draw an area on a map and say send this text message or phone call to these people. It'll send that to you. So it gives a lot of flexibility. I can do it.
You can do it for the fire service as well too, like ruptured gas line or things like that.
Yeah, we can send out a lot of different things. I can send out an emergency message on my iPad in a matter of minutes. So,
And you did say the county does, since it's countywide, county does reimburse.
Yeah,
some. Oh, I'm not asking the amount. No,
it's not a whole lot, but they do. The county reimburses, and Palmyra, I believe, gives us a little as well. But we have the bulk of the people with the population center being here anyway. So
okay,
I'd say it's probably nominal how much they give.
Just curious, can you present to them to break it up per capita, say county per capita, and also to have them share more of the burden?
Basically, once we get this contract in place, we can probably talk to them more about the exact amounts and kind of how that breaks down.
I'd be curious to see what they pay. I mean, it's a strong service to offer. They should pay a premium as well.
Probably find those.
Cool.
We could have
Okay.
them. We could have them.
That'd be good.
Okay, any other questions about the Code Red service contract with Onsolve? All right, that'll be Resolution 2553-25 to follow. Thank you, Chief. Next up, Eric Graham, IT Director, new computer and monitors for Hannibal Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last year, towards the end of last year, Microsoft announced that they were going end of life with Windows 10 on every computer device that runs Windows 10. That means they will not be getting any more security updates as of October of this year. That will leave quite a big security hole on any device, on any network running Windows 10. We have been doing some looking at all the devices within the city, and we have found, I think last count that I saw today was around 27 devices running Windows 10 within the city. Most of those devices we cannot upgrade to Windows 11. This hardware will not accept Windows 11, will not run it. Tonight I'm coming before the council to ask to spend $17,116.88 to replace 17 computers and 30 monitors at the police department. These computers were already on our schedule to replace within the next year. I had them on a rotation to replace half their computers every so often. What this will do is that it will replace some Windows 10 machines at the PD, all the ones we have up there, and then those devices will replace that will take Windows 11. We can spread those out throughout the rest of the city to replace devices that we cannot upgrade. So we're going with SHI, who has a Missouri state contract for computer equipment. We do have a couple other comparable quotes that are higher than what SHI is going to charge us for those.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Graham?
Just curious. So I buy some computers here and there. Looking at the price per computer, I'm just kind of surprised how high it still is. And I buy reasonably powerful CAD CAM type programs. Like, well, I can buy one for almost half that.
Yeah.
Is that just locked through the state and the city that have to purchase through those services that you mentioned?
So, yeah, SHI has a state contract, so generally we usually they're usually cheaper than most places that we get those.
But you have to go with the place that has the state contract? You can't just go up to the...
We don't have to.
Oh.
But generally, we have found that they're the cheapest to get those from so far. There are a few others we're researching just to make sure that we can't find those cheaper anyplace else, but so far, that's the cheapest we're going to be able to get.
And there's professional computers, and then there's consumer computers.
Oh, no, I understand that. Yeah. I understand that very well.
You don't want the home version.
Yeah.
And these were slated for replacement. You said you had them in the budget.
Yes.
Already?
Yes, it's come out of the PD's budget to replace theirs that they're scheduled to replace anyway.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, the fun part. Resolution number 2522-25. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2522-25, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a right-of-way agreement and waiver of appraisal and donation letters for the multiple permanent and temporary easements for the Market Street TAP Grant Sidewalk Project. Councilwoman Azatea?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Leaders?
Yes.
Councilman Fleetwood?
Yes.
Councilman Munger?
Yes.
And Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
All right, I declare resolution number 2522-25 duly approved and adopted on this day. Next up, I have resolution number 2553-25. Need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2553-25, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a service agreement between the City of Hannibal and OnSolve for a 3-year service contract for the Code Red Alert System. Councilwoman Azatea?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Leaders?
Yes.
Councilman Fleetwood?
Yes.
Councilman Munger?
Yes.
And Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
All right. Declare resolution number 2553-25 duly approved and adopted on this day. Next, I have resolution 2554-25. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution number 2554-25, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a subaward agreement between the City of Hannibal and the Missouri Department of Public Safety for the local law enforcement block grant. Councilwoman Azatea?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Leaders?
Yes.
Councilman Fleetwood?
Yes.
Councilman Munger?
Yes.
And Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
And I declare resolution number 2554-25 duly approved and adopted on this day. Next item on the agenda is closed session in accordance with RSMO 610.021, subparagraph 1. A motion to go into closed session?
Mayor, I'm sorry, before we continue, something I didn't think about in regards to the Haycraft tabling, the firework thing, is that going to hinder, hold up other events and/or planning with scheduling since we don't know? Because they were saying how they wouldn't have the manpower to give to other events or festivals during that weekend, or would that hinder staffing for the fire department with it being unknown and us tabling it?
Chief, I don't think so.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. No. I'll start again. I need a motion to go into closed session in accordance with RSMO 610.021, subparagraph 1, admitting myself, council, city manager, city attorney, city clerk, and Jacob Naki, police chief.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Councilman Azatea?
Yes.
Sorry, Councilman. Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Leaders?
Yes.
Councilman Fleetwood?
Yes.
Councilman Munger?
Yes.
And Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
We are adjourned into closed session. Thank you all for attending.